When it comes to commercial solar, there's a few ways of purchasing it. The number one way that I often recommend would be the buying option, just because then you get credit for all your tax credits, your depreciation, your SREC, and there's a lot of other grants as well. Sometimes the companies don't have the capital, so in that case, we can get you some financing options. Different ranges from 3 years to 20 years to make sure that the payment might be lower than your actual bill, or if you want to pay it off in 5 years and just be debt free and bill free, those options are available as well. We can get as low as 0% and as high as maybe 9%, depending on what option you're looking for. But that's always a good option too, because they'll do what's called special payment. So what a special payment is they take the tax credit out of your payment to make your payment lower. So for example, if the total cost is $100,000, you're going to get $30,000 back due to a 30% federal tax credit. So they're going to give you a payment off of that $70,000, which would be $100,000 minus the $30,000, which keeps your payment lower. Also, it keeps the principal lower, so you guys can pay it off as fast or as slow as you want. Another option that we often give for businesses is what's called a PPA. A PPA stands for Power Purchase Agreement. Why that often makes sense is because the company or corporation does not need the capital to get started. So sometimes we do systems that could be $1 million, which is a large investment for a company. So in that case, we can do a PPA. So what a PPA ends up being is the solar is quote unquote free. At that point, we work with you to negotiate a price per kilowatt hour. So if you're paying your utility company, let's say 10 cents, we can say, hey, we'll give you solar free. You just pay us 8.5 cents. So it saves money off the top, which obviously is good for the bottom dollar of the company. And it's usually about a 25 year agreement with a 3% escalator, kind of to follow inflation. So in that point, if your bill is, $20,000 a month, and I can save you 1.5 cents, it could save you $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, which helps a business out, and obviously it helps us out. So could be a good option as well. Up to the company really which option they want to go with. 4 different really options of getting solar. The first one is the cash option, right? So whatever the price is to us to install, that's the price to you. Sometimes, residential or commercial businesses or residential owners don't have that capital, so they'll want to finance it. Different financing options. Some have what are called dealer fees attached to them, so the cash price might go up depending on what interest rate we go with, but you can always finance it. And the beauty of a lot of the solar financing loans is if you want to pay them off in 2 years, you can. There's no prepayment penalty. But both of those options will go with the tax credits and subsidies that go with each program. So because you own it, right? So if you finance it or if you buy it outright, you get a 30% federal tax credit as well as any state and local incentives. Another option is what's called a lease. So a lease is just like it sounds, just like if you're buying a car, you lease a car for 4 years and you can buy the car or you can give it back and get a new car. So when you lease a solar system, essentially you're trying to get a payment that's a little bit lower than what you're paying the utility company. So if you're paying the utility company, let's say $200 a month, you can get a lease for $175 for argument's sake, and that's for usually 25 years. But in that instance, you don't get the tax credits. You don't get the other subsidies and state and local incentives because the solar company owns the system, which is sort of like the PPA. So what a PPA is the homeowner is paying their local utility company, let's say 17, 18 cents. So the solar installer says, I'll give you solar for free. How about you pay me 15, 17 cents? So your total payment will go down to the utility company. So if you're paying utility company $200 a month, it might go to $180. So you start saving money right away. That PPA, though, however, is not fixed. So every year, that kilowatt hour rate will go about 2.5-3.5% on average. And that's usually for 20 years. So in that instance, yes, it does save the homeowner money. In the long run, sometimes it's not the best option because you have to make that payment for 25 years. And you don't get the incentives I mentioned earlier, like the federal tax credit, SREC, any county in Maryland, any county credit. So it really depends on the homeowner which option fits them best. Most of our solar systems that we install, the average homeowner wants to finance it. The average homeowner doesn't want to put, $10,000 down. The good thing is you don't have to. So I'd say majority of our financing options are zero down. So no money out of pocket. Basically, what we're trying to do is get rid of that electric bill, right? That never goes away, almost never goes down, with clean renewable energy, which allows you to save money on your bill, but also help out the environment in the long run. Just like any other financing option for a car, a house, or whatever you're trying to purchase, our financing companies are going to look at your credit score, but also your DTI, which is your debt to income. So if you qualify for both of those, and most times we can probably get you financing, but obviously if your credit score is lower, it's just going to be just as hard to get a car or house as it is to be solar. If you buy the system, you own everything associated with that system. If you buy, or I should say finance, that means every kilowatt hour produced is yours, every tax credit is yours, every subsidy is yours, every property tax and state incentives is yours because you own it. If you do a PPA, everything you're producing will go to the utility company, but you're paying the solar company for your production as opposed to the utility company. So it helps you out in the beginning because your bill obviously is lower than where you started. But with that escalator, sometimes you're back to where you were pretty quickly. So it depends on your utility company. If your utility company rates increase, right, the same percentage of your PPA, well then yeah, you're always going to stay above. But if the utility company doesn't increase with the PPA, well then you're paying more for the PPA than you would be with the utility company. A lot of loans that we get, no matter what it's for, house, car, personal, getting a new pool, getting a new, windows in your home, a lot of them will have dealer fees attached to them. So the banks don't give money away for free, right? We can all agree on that. So oftentimes, if you get a lower interest rate, your total amount for the solar system might increase. However, that's part of the total solar project. So you do get that tax credit on whatever the final amount is. So let's say your total amount is $60,000, you get an $18,000 tax rebate, even if $10,000 of that was your dealer fee for getting the loan. So that's all included in there. Also, every solar system you install is not only going to help you out with your bills and helping the environment out, but also helps when you guys go to sell your house so you get more money for the house. If there's two houses that are exactly the same, one has a $300 bill, one has a zero bill, which one are you going to pay more for, right? The one with a zero bill. So studies have shown it's going to add anywhere from 2% of the home's value to 10%, depending on what the home value is actually worth. So it never depreciates the value of the home, but it also helps to appreciate that value more so down the road. Bright A Solar started in 2010, so we've been doing this for about 15 years. We've done many, many jobs in that time frame. And one of the best things that we found in solar installation is we do everything ourselves. We're not subbing out anything, from the initial phone call to the last phone call, whereby the solar consultant to the installers to the project managers to the SREC registration, everything is done by us. Therefore, we can control the quality of the installation, make it turnkey, but also too, there's no middleman to deal with. Well, they didn't do their job right or this job right. We will own it. Everything that we do ourselves to make sure that we can do the job that you obviously want to do, but also that way, it's done the right way. So we've done that since we started. We really appreciate that, and we're local. You don't have to call someone from 5 hours away to come out to your house if there's ever a problem. We're right down the street, so we're able to get out there as fast as we can.